Tell me everybody's ready. Cameras all thumbs up from all of our press corps. All right, fantastic. Then we are going to go ahead and get started. First of all, I would like to thank SEIU 1991 for being able to accommodate us today and opening up their doors for us. But good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us. I think we all remember 1 year ago this week when the news broke. We all knew where we were. We all recall the feelings that we all felt. To me, it was a punch in the gut. A 50 years worth of progress to know that we were going backwards, that we were going to roll back the reproductive rights for individuals all across our state. Ahead of the first anniversary, we are here today to reflect on the real and present consequences of those decisions. Today, I am honored to be joined by Miami-Dade Mayor Daniela Levine Cava, who has always stood with activists and advocates to fight for reproductive rights and has seen the landscape change pre and post-Roe. And it was 1 year ago that we met in Wynwood when we were all protesting for the release of more of our rights. We are also grateful to be joined by Anya Cook and her husband, Derek. Anya was at a round table with the First Lady yesterday, sharing her story and how graciously agreed to join us here today. We'll also hear from her husband, Derek, because abortion isn't just a women's issue. It's family decision-making. Representative Ashley Gant is also here with us today and has seen firsthand what the Republicans have done to erase the rights in the legislature while remaining a strong pro-choice Democrat in our state house. Thank you for all of your support. And finally, we will also be hearing from Mary Ann Ruiz, a mom of 2 beautiful daughters and local attorney who will also reflect on how we got here. And also we were sharing our story where we were together a year ago. Like most Floridians, I believe taking back abortion rights is worth fighting for, and I am willing to stand my ground to do so. Now, you may be able to lock me up, but you're never going to shut me up. So 1 year after Dobbs, where do we find ourselves? Florida used to be a safe haven in the South for abortion rights, and now we are ground zero for right-winged radical extremism harming our communities. Controlling what people do with their bodies is what fascists and dictators do. While Ron DeSantis is using Florida's extreme ban to advance his national ambitions, most Floridians oppose this. 75% of Florida's voters reject a 6-week abortion ban. The majority of Floridians want access to safe, legal, and accessible abortions. The facts are, abortion bans are unpopular, not just here in the state of Florida, but across the entire country. It doesn't matter if you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent. This is one of those issues that we all can agree on. Over the past year, we've heard too many stories about the women sent home to die or be forced to fly out of Florida to get the care they so desperately need. This law bans abortions before most women know that they're even pregnant, handcuffs our doctors from performing their duty of care, and puts women's lives at risk. It's caused chaos and confusion in our medical system and calls on communities to step up and take action. If Congress won't act, we will. In Florida, we are on the front lines of this fight, and we will do everything in our power to make sure that abortion rights are back, and we are doing so by making sure that we are putting it on the 2024 ballot. So, be prepared, Florida, because this is all hands on deck, and we need each and every one of you. So now with that, I will turn it over to my friend, your mayor, Daniela Levine Cava.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you very much to our chairwoman, Nikki Freed, and to all of you for being here. My name is Daniela Levine Cava, and I am proud to be your first ever woman mayor of Miami-Dade County, fighting to defend the rights and the freedoms we all hold dear. As a woman, as a mom, as a grandma of two amazing little granddaughters, the fight for reproductive rights is very personal for me. I was just 17 years old when Roe versus Wade decision paved the way for women to have freedom and autonomy over their bodies, over our bodies, and by extension, our lives, our very lives. More people were able to make decisions about when to have children, how to pursue careers. It truly has changed the landscape of our society. Those freedoms have. And it is unacceptable to now see the clock turn back. These freedoms and rights are being lost for our younger generations. Throughout my career, and as founder of a nonprofit, Catalyst Miami, and as an attorney for many families, women, and children in need, I have seen firsthand the importance of women being able to choose if, when, and how to become mothers, and the importance of private medical decisions remaining private between a woman and her doctor, her faith, her family. As the next speaker will tell you, abortion is absolutely health care. It often looks different than you may think. Anya Cook, who is here with us today, along with her husband Derek, will bravely share her personal story when she was denied abortion care following a miscarriage. Anya is lucky to be alive, and she's not alone. Her story represents the experiences of countless women who have been denied life-saving medical care because of extreme bans, like we have here in Florida. This is not freedom. These dangerous attacks on women's rights undermine the bedrock of our democracy. We are not free. Our Miami-Dade community understands this and understands that we must protect our collective freedom and the liberties that we hold so dear. We must make sure that undue government interference does not interfere with our freedoms. Politicians have no business in our exam rooms. Nuestra comunidad entiende que debemos proteger nuestras libertades de la mala intervención del gobierno. Los políticos no tienen nada que hacer en nuestras citas médicas. That's why we'll continue to work tirelessly to defend women's rights, to make informed decisions about their lives, their futures, their health, their families, their private medical care. Por eso continuaremos trabajando sin descanso para defender los derechos de las mujeres a tomar decisiones informadas sobre sus vidas, su futuro, su atención médica privada. Before I close, I want to thank our hardworking members of SEIU 1991, our healthcare workers who provide essential healthcare services to our community and who are hosting us here today. They're on the front lines, they're caring for patients, they're advocating for their rights, and they're ensuring that healthcare remains accessible and affordable for all. Together, we're fighting for a future where every person has a right to be healthy and free. And now I am very honored to introduce Anya Cook and her husband, Derek, an incredibly strong couple with a story that we all need to pay attention to. Thank you.
Good afternoon. On December 14th, 2022, my husband and I left a restaurant after a late night dinner. And as I was walking out into the parking lot, I felt a gush of water being thrown at me. I then turned to my husband, Derek, and I said, "Babe, someone threw water at me." He looked at me and we both realized that there was no one in the parking lot. I then realized that my water had broke. My husband rushed me into our vehicle and we went to the hospital that was about 4 or 5 minutes away. Once we got into the emergency room, I had to wait an hour before they decided to bring me into the back. Once they brought me back, a doctor said I was going to have an ultrasound to confirm what he suspected was happening. When we went upstairs and they performed the ultrasound, they confirmed that my daughter, which we had nicknamed Bunny, was still moving and still had a very viable heartbeat. That gave me so much hope. But when we went back downstairs and the doctor started to explain to us what was actually happening, I then lost all the hope that I ever could possibly have. He told me that I had a condition known as PPROM, which is the preterm, premature rupture of my membranes. I had never heard of that. I then started to wonder what would happen next. And the doctor looked at me with such pity. Because then I asked him, what do we do? My doctor said to me that there's nothing that he can do. He cannot risk his license. He cannot risk the hospital getting in trouble. And he also doesn't want to risk getting arrested. So then we turned to him, my husband and I, and we said, what does that mean? And then in that very moment, I remembered, is it because of Roe v. Wade? And he said yes. Unfortunately, I cannot admit you. My husband, I can then see him turn red. And my mother, who was also with us, they both asked and shouted, what do you mean you can't admit her? The doctor said she will be delivering within 12 to 24 hours, but unfortunately she won't be delivering here. At a local hospital that I was supposed to be able to trust. I went there thinking, knowing, having so much confidence that I will be taken care of. I didn't ask for a handout. I asked for health care. My husband then looked at the doctor. And the doctor said to me, I'm so sorry, sweetie, but there's nothing that I can do for you. I then asked the doctor, what was I supposed to do? Will I feel contractions? Will I know what will happen? And he said, no, you will just be delivering within 12 to 24 hours. And that's all I can tell you. I had known from trying to conceive for so long that I knew that our daughter was not going to survive because at 16 weeks, there is no viability. We accepted that. I asked the doctor to induce me and admit me into the hospital, and he clearly, flat out told me he could not. I then was forced to go and be my own doctor. And my husband turned into a surgeon overnight. Because that morning, the next morning when I woke up, I then had to realize that I had to have my locks groomed because I didn't want to have my mother to have to worry about making a funeral home prepare them for my funeral. I had already accepted that I was not going to survive this. I was now trying to prepare my mom and my husband for what was to happen in the coming days. As we were driving to the hair salon, my husband and I were arguing on the fact that I'm still keeping this hair appointment, and he could not understand why. When I went into the hair salon, about 2 hours later, I then felt the need to go into the bathroom. I went into the bathroom, and as I sat on the toilet, I felt a sound from my grandmother who had passed saying, "Annie, you need to push." I had no idea what she meant. I then put my hands on my knees, and all I heard was the sound of my daughter hitting a toilet bowl. I then called my husband, and I told him to call 911. And my husband immediately rushed in and tried to help me deliver the placenta. We were rushed to a local hospital where I was told that I would have to have a surgery that would last about an hour, maybe 2 hours. I did not wake up until 8:30 the next morning.
And that's because I'm sorry. That's because the doctors had complications of saving my wife's life or saving my wife's uterus. That's the questions I was asked. And as a husband, I shouldn't have to be asked those type of questions from a doctor, whether to save her life or her uterus. If the hospital would have done what they were supposed to do at the other hospital before, I wouldn't have to go through this or my wife. Now the state representative, Ashley again.
First, I want to say thank you to the cooks for their bravery in sharing your story. This past session, we saw another archaic and draconian law that furthered the abortion ban in Florida on Floridians. And it went from 15 weeks to 6 weeks, of course, pending the decision from the Florida Supreme Court. And for those of you all who don't know, Black women are 3 to 4 times likely to die during childbirth or due to complications from maternal health care. We can look at a recent story of Tori Bowie, an Olympian who, 32 years old, died from complications due to childbirth. And we stood in the halls of the Capitol in Tallahassee debating on whether a woman can control her own body. It's absurd. There's not one law in the state of Florida, the United States, or even the world that tells a man what he can or cannot do with his body. But yet, the Republicans in Tallahassee, the governor of Florida, feels that they have the right to invade on a decision into the privacy of a medical room or between a woman, her partner, and her faith. We're standing here because, if you read my shirt, the Supreme Court left it to the states. And the states took that opportunity, like here in Florida, to tell women, over 10 million women in Florida, that we are not trustworthy with our own decisions. The reason I ran for state rep is because of the 15-week abortion ban. I knew that I couldn't just stay quiet or just scream into the ether on social media. I had to do something because my nieces and nephews are in a world where women have less rights than when I was born and than I grew up in. So we see that the fight is here, and the message is that you have lit a fire that you have no idea how bright and how fiery it's going to burn. Because we will not let up. We will not allow the next generation of girls to grow up in a society where they are told that they do not have enough common sense to make decisions about their own body. This is about bodily sovereignty. And in a state that touts freedom, that gaslights us about being the free state, this is not free at all. This is the antithesis to freedom. But we are here standing in solidarity to say that abortion is healthcare. In a country where, and a state where we're not even expanding Medicaid, where millions of people are in jeopardy of healthcare, we're here to say that this fight will continue and we will be victorious. Because it's one thing about the pendulum. It always swings, and it's going to swing in the right direction. And that's the direction of true freedom for the people. And now I'll have an ally in this fight, Marianne Louise, come bring remarks.
Thank you. My name is Marianne Ruiz. I am a mother of 2 daughters, married, Catholic, a daughter of Cuban exiles, an attorney, born and raised in the county of Miami-Dade, and I am staunchly pro-choice. Nearly 1 year ago, I stood at a press conference with Chair Fried the day that the U.S. Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade. We warned that now the abortion access would be in the hands of the Florida supermajority Republican legislature and Governor Ron DeSantis. We warned that the 15-week abortion ban they had passed in 2022 would go into effect. It did. We warned that the following year they would do much worse, and they did. This year, in 2023, the Republican supermajority legislature and Governor Ron DeSantis passed a 6-week abortion ban. It functions as a near total abortion ban. At 6 weeks, most women don't even know they're pregnant. We expect that 6-week ban to be in effect any day now. In addition, there are exceptions for victims of rape, incest, and sex trafficking for a 15-week abortion. Only if they are able to prove with sufficient evidence that they are a victim. What sufficient evidence means, we don't know. Whether a woman's word in a he said, she said situation will be enough, we don't know. So just imagine being a woman, a victim of rape, they're in the most tragic moment of your life, and you're simply trying to save yourself, and you're mentally incapable of also gathering evidence to later prove to a doctor or a hospital or someone else some sufficient evidence as to why you need an abortion. Additionally, there's an exception when the life of the mother is at risk or for fatal abnormalities. But in reality, as we heard from Anya and her husband, and in all the other stories that we've heard throughout our state and throughout our country, the true effect of these laws and the 6-week abortion ban passed in the state of Florida is that most doctors are simply unwilling to provide abortion care, even when the exceptions apply, and even when there is a mother standing before them dying. So for those who think that perhaps they are privileged enough that they can buy a plane ticket the day that a woman that they love may need abortion care, sadly, time may not be on your side. There are medical emergencies that happen to pregnant women every single day. We heard from Anya, her medical emergency at 16 weeks. There are medical emergencies that happen to women who are 8 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant, for a baby and a pregnancy that they want. And so just imagine taking your wife who is suffering from something clearly wrong, driving her to the hospital, learning from the doctor that your baby has died, and the doctor telling you that they are unwilling to induce the birth, the stillbirth, either sending you home to await a stillbirth and hope you don't die, or having you sit there waiting, dying in the emergency room while the doctor obtains a medical opinion, if they're willing to see if they can save your life. In that situation, a plane ticket, a plane charter, even a helicopter will not save you. And unfortunately, these are not hypotheticals. These are real stories that are happening every single day in the state of Florida and throughout the country. Women are suffering, and women will continue to suffer. Women of all incomes, all social statuses, all races, all ethnicities, and most certainly women of all political affiliations. Some remarks in Spanish. Mi nombre es Marianne Ruiz. Soy madre de 2 hijas, casada, católica, hija de cubanos, abogada, nacida y criada aquí en Miami-Dade County, y soy incondicionalmente pro elección. Hace casi un año participé en una conferencia de prensa con la presidenta del Partido Demócrata, Fried, que está aquí con nosotros hoy, el día que la Corte Suprema anuló a Roe v. Wade. Ese día nosotros advertimos que la reversión dejaba el acceso al aborto en las manos de la legislatura republicana del estado de la Florida y del gobernador republicano del estado de la Florida, Ron DeSantis. Explicamos y advertimos que la provisión que habían pasado de 15 semanas en el 2022 iba a entrar en vigencia, y pasó. Advertimos también que el próximo año hicieran peor, y lo hicieron. Este año, en el 2023, la supermayoría republicana legislatura del estado de la Florida y el gobernador pasaron una prohibición de 6 semanas en el aborto. Es un periodo en cual la mayoría de las mujeres ni tan siquiera saben que están embarazadas, y esperamos que pronto entrará también en vigencia en el estado de la Florida. Hay una excepción hasta 15 semanas para las víctimas de violación, de incesto y de tratos de personas, pero solamente si ellas proporcionan pruebas suficientes para probar que son víctimas. No sabemos qué es lo que se considera como una prueba suficiente. No sabemos si la palabra de una mujer será suficiente. Entonces imagínese ser una víctima en ese momento de terror, el momento peor de su vida, y ser incapaz de poder reunir suficiente información y evidencia para en el futuro obtener servicios de aborto. También hay una excepción en el estado de la Florida para la vida de la madre cuando está en riesgo o para abnormalidades fatales. Pero lo que estamos viendo que está sucediendo ya es que muchos abogados, muchos no abogados, muchos también abogados y los abogados de doctores y los doctores están asustados de dar ese trato de ofrecer aborto o ofrecer medicina en esas situaciones, hasta cuándo las excepciones aplican y hasta cuándo están muriéndose las madres. Para aquellos que piensan que son suficientemente privilegiados como para comprar un boleto el día que necesiten servicios de aborto, el día que una mujer que quieran lo necesite, lamentablemente es posible que en ese momento el tiempo no esté a su lado. Hay emergencias médicas todos los días que afectan a las mujeres embarazadas, mujeres que sufren de hemorragia, de sangrado interno, de sepsis. Imagínese llevar a toda prisa a su esposa embarazada de 8 meses al hospital, enterarse en ese momento que el bebé está muerto y que su médico le diga o que no quiere inducir el parto, que lo mande a la casa a esperar el parto mientras a lo mejor se muere su esposa, o que se espere ahí muriéndose en el hospital mientras el médico y el hospital obtengan una consulta con su abogado a ver si es suficiente legal en ese momento salvar su vida. Estos no son hipotéticos, estas son historias reales que suceden todos los días a todas las mujeres de todos ingresos, razas, etnias y por supuesto a las mujeres de todas afiliaciones políticas. Entonces, este año, en conclusión, nosotros vamos a hacer algo. El Partido Demócrata y todas las mujeres, porque es algo que no tiene que ver nada, de verdad, con política. Vamos a tratar todo lo posible, recoger peticiones y vamos a incluir el aborto y el acceso a aborto en la boleta en la boleta electoral en el 2024 en el estado de la Florida. Muchas gracias. Y con eso le devuelvo a la señora.
And thank you, Mary Ann, for those comments. Today, we had the privilege of hearing from legislators, leaders, attorneys, and women like Anya, who lived to tell her story. In 2024, the stakes could not be any higher. While Republicans are running on their anti-freedom agenda, taking away rights and dictating women's private health care decisions, Democrats are committed to making sure people have more rights.
As far as next steps, you're looking at the ballot option more than having hope in the Florida Supreme Court. If you could comment on that.
You know, unfortunately, also as an attorney, have seen how this more and more conservative Supreme Court, we've heard the stories coming out in the last week and a half of how Ron DeSantis has packed this Supreme Court with members of the Federalist Society. And as an attorney, it pains me to say this, but I do not have faith that this Florida Supreme Court will abide by the rights of privacy that is in our Florida Constitution, and do believe that they are going to hold up the 15-week abortion ban, which is the trigger for the 6 weeks.
Can anyone comment in Spanish about the ballot effort? There seems to be a great hope in that. Se te pregunto, conversando, si la legislatura, obviamente la mayoría está en contra del acceso al aborto, y también la Corte Suprema, como acaba de decir Ms. Free. Entonces, cuéntame sobre este esfuerzo en la boleta. ¿Por qué cuentan con los votantes? ¿Cómo van a hacer esto?
Bueno, sabemos que las prohibiciones de aborto son impopulares. Sabemos que 75% de los votantes del estado de la Florida rechazan la prohibición después de la 6ª semana. La mayoría de los floridianos, y esto tenemos los números y se los puedo entregar como usted quiera, quieren tener acceso a abortos seguros, legales y accesibles. Y por eso estamos trabajando a incluir el aborto en la boleta electoral en el 2024 para proteger el derecho de las mujeres a tomar las decisiones personales sobre su propio cuerpo y sin interferencia de la política. Y estamos trabajando en eso. Estamos recogiendo este año peticiones. Si ustedes están de acuerdo, lo pueden buscar en Google, por el sitio web. Tenemos aquí una copia, súper fácil. Tiene que estar registrado, entrar la información, firmar y mandarlo y ya. Estamos trabajando en eso. Tenemos números muy buenos. Estamos trabajando por el estado entero. Todos los condados del estado de la Florida, y eso es lo que vamos a hacer.
¿Cuántas firmas se necesitan?
Se necesitan sobre 900,000 firmas y
Ya
creo
tenemos casi 300,000 en un mes.
¿En un mes?
sí, en un mes. Entonces tenemos hasta diciembre, creo, del fin de año 2023, pero si seguimos como estamos, creo que lo podremos lograr en octubre o noviembre, pero hasta con esa información que sabemos que lo estamos haciendo tan bien y tan fuerte, no vamos a parar. Estamos recogiendo fondos para ayudar, para nosotros poder llegar a todas las casas, a todos los votantes de cualquiera política, de cualquier afiliación política, no importa.
Alcaldesa, si esto es tan popular, o sea, tan impopular con los votantes, ¿por qué se movió tan rápido en la Florida, en Miami-Dade, donde usted es alcaldesa, de 15 semanas, 6 semanas, pasó las elecciones tan rápido cuando no es algo popular entre los votantes?
Tenemos legisladores que quieren dar menos derechos a las mujeres. Y hicieron muy rápido y no escuchando a la comunidad.
And I think this is the reality for the first part of your question. This is not democracy. Democracy is the fact that 75+% of Floridians did not want a 6-week abortion ban. Their elected officials, their governor, their legislators should be listening to the people, but they're not. So what do we have to do? We go back to the people. And that's why the ballot initiative is so important, because unfortunately the radicalization of the Republican Party are no longer listening to the people of our state. And so the people have the last say, and that is to get this ballot initiative on the ballot and then to get it passed in November 24.
I like to add a comment to Chair Freed. So I sit on the Health and Human Services Committee, and we saw the 6-week abortion ban bill come before us before it made it to the floor. And I want you to know that that room was packed. There was so much public comment that we were asked to limit our questions and our debate so that the citizens of Florida, the people that elected us and that we serve, could speak. And they spoke out against it time after time after time again. But when roll call was asked, I know I proudly said no. But again, we are in a super minority status. So my no was to represent the people that I represent. But those yeses, they came overwhelmingly from the Republican Party to take the 6-week abortion ban from the last committee stop to the floor. So what Chair Freed said about listening to our constituents, we now have the ability as citizens to collect these signatures to get it on the ballot, because that is how the Florida Constitution, which is unique, allows citizens to still have a voice when your elected officials are not listening to you. So I urge everyone to get engaged, get involved. Tell your whole community, your sphere of influence, to sign this petition to get it on the ballot. Because tragedy does not have to come to your doorstep for you to understand the gravity of this situation. And when you get an opportunity to ask your representatives what their vote was, you question them why they didn't listen. And if you don't know how to find that information, you can go on the Florida channel and you can watch it all, because that's an archive of everything we do in Tallahassee. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have time for one more question if anybody else has any questions. If not, I just want to say thank you for being here. This is an issue that impacts everybody, and we just want to say thank you for being here and standing with us. It's unique to you, but unfortunately, these are the types of stories that we are hearing all over the state of Florida, and we have the power as the people of our state to stop it. So let's do it. Thank you.